Bonjour, y'all. I don't know if somebody can give me some sort of an indication in chat that it's live. I'm a little early, but and last week it looked like most people showed up just about an hour later, type thing. So I may be looking at changing the time on this, so it may be a little bit more conducive for people. But in any case, if you're live, if you can just, oh, there she is. Hello, Elena. Thank you for joining. Let's see. Oh, Bandana, hello. Oh, hello, everyone. Okay, good. We've got some people showing up. Awesome. Hello, Deborah in Texas. Hopefully you're staying safe from the flooding. That looked absolutely awful. Hello, Ty Cobb. Oh, Jess, boy, we're getting people from France. Nice. Well, welcome. I know I'm a little early popping on, but I wanted to make sure. The last video I did was the first live I've done, but it just seemed like once it turned dark here, I was sitting in a cave. So I over here, put a light up behind me just to make sure that it just maybe wouldn't look like I was sitting in a cave type thing. So this is obviously still very new to me. So I'm just trying to get on this. Bonsoir, Sue. Well, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate that. And hopefully all's going well with your new place there in Albi. That looked like a nice place. And I'm thinking that at some point, Miss Freya might show up. Let's see, we got some treats up there for her. So, but in any case, like I said, I know that I'm early, a little bit early here. So we'll just kill a little bit of time unless somebody has a question that pops up. I was just planning on talking about my prior life. Hello, Patricia. Thanks so much for joining. But people seem to be interested in hearing about it, so we'll see. Very true, Sue. Very, very true. And now that, well, I'm assuming it all be the same way, but we finally had a break in the canicule. So the heat wave broke here for a little while. Anyway, there'll be another one, but at least for now, like tomorrow, the high is only 80, so that's just like 20 degrees less than what it has been. So happy about that. So let's see. And sorry, I'm just trying to read the stream just to make sure somebody doesn't pop up a question. The chat, sorry. But no, I figured what I covered tonight is just kind of going over my background. People seem to be interested in that, and we'll just go from there. yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I lived in Austin for a number of years, and that was to me like living in an oven. I just too much heat for too long, sort of thing. So far this hadn't been. I mean, it's been bad. You know, it's been very warm, but it hasn't been Austin warm to me. So okay with that so far. But and Sue, are you? I'm assuming you're getting cooler weather coming in too, since you're obviously further north than I am. And hello, Lisa and Angie, if I forgot to say hello. But I don't normally say hello to everybody, but that this is only my second one. So I guess now 50% of the time I do. But, just that last week I ended up staring at the thing for a little while. Wasn't sure if it was live, and it went live on me much quicker than what I was thinking it was. So yeah, all of France this year so far has been very warm. Howdy, Roy. Actually, the last time I visited France was in 2004. A friend of mine, a work colleague, ended up getting married in Paris, and so a group of us from the office came over to attend the wedding type thing. So I spent a couple weeks in England, and then came down for the weekend to Paris for the wedding. So that and I've never been to the south of France before moving here. So that's how often. And howdy Annette from New Orleans. I did consider Nice and the Côte d'Azur, but the it just was more expensive to me than living over here. So, and in one of the videos I have, I described that I had talked. Well, I'd been referred to 3 estate agents, one in Montpellier, one in Béziers, and then the one here in Perpignan. And uh, the one in Montpellier only really wanted to work with me if I was there to see the properties, and then she would show me up to 6 properties, and you have to choose one. Otherwise, she didn't really want to work with me, and I didn't really want to come over here just to do an apartment hunt because it wasn't that important to me where I was living, as long as it wasn't like it was a completely derelict building and some drug den or something like that. But I figured I can put up with whatever for several months, sort of thing. So and then I never heard back from the agent in Béziers, and then the one here, Valerie, just a fantastic person, and she found me a place, and well, I shouldn't say just me, but the friend of mine and I, and so we got that lined up and didn't have to come over here to look at it, and made the move. Oh, hello, Gerard. Yeah, I know. Awful news from Central Texas. Those flash floods are they're nothing to joke about. Hello, Mike and Lynette. Thank you for joining. Oh, I absolutely would have, Sandra. I still would have absolutely made the move. This just made it, fortunate that I had somebody to help split the expenses with here. So, but I've, well, as an adult, I've never had. Oh, and I keep forgetting. People keep telling me to read the questions because they apparently can't see them. So, okay. Um, let's see if I go back a little bit. So Jess had asked if I had considered Nice or Côte d'Azur, and that answer was yes. I'd looked at it, but it was too expensive for me. Um, let's see. Sandra is asking now that if I hadn't had a friend to come with me, would I've made the move on my own? And if I had done it on my own, what would I have done differently? And well, it would have been a smaller place. I mean, just for one thing, it's just it's nice to be able to split the expenses. But as an adult, I haven't had a housemate in 40 years. I mean, just it's I've always lived by myself, and well, for a couple of years I had my when my father passed away, my mother was fine with living by herself for a little while. She did that for a couple of years, and then decided she didn't want to live by herself any longer, and I was living by myself. So we ended up building a house in Georgetown, Texas, north of Austin, in Sun City, and found a place that was going to work out for the both of us. I mean, she was 80 years old, so pretty easy for her. So to keep the parties down on her side. But any case, so I lived with her for a couple of years, and then she passed away. So at that point, I just went ahead and sold the house and been back to living on my own. So I prefer living on my own just because I feel like I kind of interfere with other people, that it's like I'm just not used to the whole dynamic of having someone else around. So there's Miss Freya. Hey, Miss Freya. Okay, she said hello. That I think she's going to find her treats. But in any case, that's the only thing I would have done differently is probably just had a smaller apartment, and still would have had the cat and all that. So let's see. So now Raza is asking, will you stay in Perpignan or consider elsewhere in France? Nice right now, hot and humid. Julie, yes, Julie. I am actually considering moving to somewhere else. I'm going to explore it. Just it may or may not happen, but I figured it's worthwhile at least exploring. I think I just want probably a bigger city. Perpignan's perfectly nice. I don't have any real complaints about it. It's just that where I live is essentially in the suburbs of Perpignan, and I don't have a car, and so I rely on the bus transit. And the buses just don't run late enough. I mean, they stop like at 7 or 7:30 coming out to my place, and with restaurants opening at 7, and most of my friends being city center, it's tough to meet them up for dinner. I meet people for lunch. We do things during the day. We do train trips out and all that sort of thing. But I just am always kind of stuck with and I know that I can Uber, or I could, rent a bike, or I could do whatever type thing to get back to the house, or walk. But it's just that when it's, 90 degrees outside, I don't feel like doing any of that. So it does feel a little bit more isolating just because of the bus system here. So I would like to have more transit options. Like a lot of the cities that have trams, the trams seem to run until like 12 o'clock or 12:30 in the morning. And not that I'm a late night person, but at least I can meet people for dinner. And not that I want to live in the city center or anything like that, but at least I can meet people and then go back home. So I like that. So let's see. Hello, everyone that's joined in. Sorry, I kicked in a little bit early, but let's see. Hey, Jean-Marc, good to see you. Rob asks, what computer are you using for your setup? Right now, it's just an old laptop that I'm using for these lives. I have a desktop that I bought here in France at Fnac, but that doesn't have a webcam on it and all that. So right now, it's just my old laptop that I'm using. I don't think that it gets very good quality of video, but for doing this, it seems like it works perfectly fine. At some point, I'll probably get a new laptop just to be able to take it around with me. Let's see. Almost ready to mentally move, trying to decide which region after living my entire life in Southeast Louisiana. Well, I tell you what, Annette's saying something about this. She's lived her entire life in Southeast Louisiana, and she doesn't want heat and humidity, so she doesn't know which region to go to. I will say, and it's probably more true kind of on the Côte d'Azur and Nice area as well, but along the Mediterranean, and certainly in this region, Pyrenees Oriental, it's very dry, considerably. So, as far as the climate typically goes, this is probably the driest region in France. So if you have issues with asthma, things of that sort, this tends to be better for that than some other regions further north. Let's see. Oh, hello, Susan in Italy. That's good to see you also. Thanks for joining in. Hey, Jean-Marc, you're in Bordeaux. Well, I mean, by your name, it looks like you're in the Bordeaux region. I've heard some people here move from Bordeaux down to this area, not necessarily Perpignan, but could be Narbonne or Montpellier, just because if they have asthma issues, this tends to be a better location for that. Hello, Sue from New York. Maria asked if I would consider Bordeaux. Look, it looks like a beautiful city. I would consider it. It's just that it's expensive, so I don't know that I'd necessarily be able to afford it. Right now, and I say that, but I'm also going to be looking at Lyon and Dijon. So Dijon, I'm sure, is going to be much more affordable. But what I like about Lyon is that it has a lot more connectivity with going into Italy, Germany, those places. So just it's nice with that. But with the train systems, I can get there from Perpignan as well. And this is not anything that's going to be happening like real soon. I'm likely not going to be at least until spring before looking to actually make a move if I decide to do that. And I could very well just end up in Perpignan, just end up maybe moving into more toward city center and not having to rely on the buses running until later on. Let's see. So Jean-Marc asked, "How did I cope with the 2 weeks of super hot weather we just had in France?" Yeah, that's been interesting. I will say it helped me plot out shady walks back to the bus stops. When that took priority over distance of things. So, coming from Atlanta and Austin, Texas, it's hot, but it's not. I mean, when you're in the sun, it certainly is very it's very intense sun. But it's not nearly as bad to me as it was in like Austin, where it was 100 plus degrees for 9 months out of the year. Uh, so but with air conditioning, and now I have air conditioning in this place. So, and I see if I have to sell a kidney in order to cover the utility expense, because they come in every 2 months. But so far, hopefully, it's not that bad. So, but at least I have air conditioning, so I can at least get at least some of the humidity out of the room, type thing. So, let's see. Nice does have a great transportation. Oh, Julie was saying that Nice does have a great transportation network. Yes, it does. As does Lyon, and Dijon looks like it has a pretty decent with the trams too. I was thinking about Montpellier. I was up there for my immigration meeting, which is from if you come to Perpignan or Narbonne or Béziers, that sort of thing, you'll go up to Montpellier to do your immigration meeting after you've activated your visa once you've landed here. And Montpellier looked like a nice little city, and it certainly has a tram network, and all that sort of thing. I just don't know that it just seemed to be much more. And again, I haven't done a whole lot of research on this yet, but it just appeared that Montpellier was going to be more student focused, and so I don't know what that's like in the summer, or and that sort of thing. So I don't know if because right now what I found out, like with my bus line here, with the one line that comes by my house, like it's a block walk to get to the bus stop. The new bus schedules just came out because school came to an end as of July 4th, and the new bus schedule came out, and it actually has reduced buses during the week. Fortunately, like, because I typically take a bus to go in for lunch, things like that, or to meet friends during the day. Fortunately, it's every half hour now for the bus, but clearly the bus line that I'm on is really meant more for students, and they just every once in a while pick up kind of other passengers, sort of thing. So that was a kind of a mistake on my side for not checking that out more clearly when I was, or more, not necessarily clearly, but more sufficiently when looking at the property. But I'm still happy with the house, and so I can put up with it. It's not like it's a huge deal, but just a little less convenient for the July and August months, sort of thing. So let's see. Let's go through here and see. I'm just checking the other chat here. Let's see. So I've got another question. How are you navigating a carte de séjour visa now that you appear to be monetized on YouTube? Oh, the monetization on YouTube is not anything that anybody's going to be, I'm certainly not going to hit any sort of tax threshold with this. So, if I had to rely on the income from YouTube, I'd be out on the street. It's not, it certainly is not an issue yet. So if that ever becomes, I am working in the process of changing my visa, but that could take months to do that. So let's see, Gerard, Perpignan still cheaper than big cities. You're stretching your dollars 40% compared to, or about 20% mains and hubs. Bordeaux, Toulouse, Montpellier, Côte d'Azur. Oh yeah, no, they're absolutely much more expensive. Lyon certainly is much more expensive. Dijon is more expensive, but it doesn't appear to be greatly more expensive. But we'll see. It could turn out that any of these other ones totally fall out, and I just end up staying in Perpignan, and I'm not going to be mad about that. It's just I've got several friends here now, so it's it's a nice city. It's just that I need to then decide that I've got to break my kind of reliance on this bus line to get in and out of city center. I just have to move more towards city center. John Mark saying he's close to Bordeaux. A lot of Americans there. Yeah, I would imagine that there probably are. It looks like a beautiful city. Oh, no air conditioning. Yeah, I didn't have air conditioning last summer at the first apartment that I had here, and that was tough, but made it through. Oh, Susan, yeah, I know. Hopefully that goes well for you on the trip to Brasov. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens with the utility bill. Greg asked, what kind of air conditioning do you have? Mini splits or central air? How well does your AC cool the rooms and house? They're mini splits, and every room in this house has mini splits, except for like the hallways and the bathrooms, um, which would be kind of nice to at least have one of them have a mini split. But so every room has a mini split, and they're fairly new. I think the people that own the place just renovated it a couple of years ago. So I'm assuming that the units themselves are probably just a couple of years old. Um, they work well so far. I mean, I'm not trying to keep it ice cold. I just want to keep it at least somewhat cool, but not necessarily. It's not cold in here. Um, but they seem to work fine. Again, once I see my first bill come in for the utility, then I'll it's like keep them going or sell a kidney. Hi, Clara, North Perpignan. Okay, nice to see you. Let's see. Yeah, I'll put a video together about the utility bill. Oops, knocking things around. Sorry, Freya. Here, Freya, come on. People want to see you. But yeah, I'll put something about that. Yeah, and the Julie's saying here about there's no normal sea breeze at night, and that has been kind of nice. I know people really complain about the tramontana and all that, the high winds that come through, and during the winter, it can make it very brisk, and certainly even with double glazed windows, it can be a little loud and all that sort of thing. But during the summer, it's welcome to have some sort of a breeze, and we really haven't had that much. Today we had a bit of a breeze, we had a little bit of rain, and it's cooled off outside. But when I went to start doing this, getting the video set up in this room, it just was still a little warm, so I've turned on the air conditioning to cool it off a little bit. Let's see. Jean-Marc was saying that Nouvelle-Aquitaine and Orne regions are nice and more moderate climates, but managed to get his car over tax-free without import taxes. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I'm hoping to still just be able to live without a car. I don't really need one. It's just, if I need something that requires a vehicle, I've rented a van from Intermarché. Um, I've rented a car here. It does seem, at least in Perpignan, that the car rentals are crazy expensive. Um, so I don't do that much. But and even if I needed something, I might even look to do like an Uber or something like that. Just to, I don't. But I don't need a car. If I stay in Perpignan, I might likely get like a moped, something like that, and then that way I can at least get to the outside villages and all that without having to rely on doing the buses. So Greg asked, what type of visa are you now trying to get? An entrepreneur/profession liberal visa. Yeah, it's a profession liberal visa. Um, I mean, it's just a matter of putting together the business plan and all that. I mean, I have my kind of my pension income, so it's not, yeah, not that it's a lot, but I mean, but it's enough to cover me here. So I don't really require the income from the business. It's just that in order for me to actually get not violate my current visa, I do need to get that switched over. So I'm in the process of doing that. It's just like with everything, just takes a long time. Let's see. Saf is asking, have you taken the bus to Leclerc Shopping Center in Polygon Nord? Yes, I have. It's nice. It's nice. The only thing is because I live, let's see, I think I'm on the southeast side. I'm on the southeast side of Perpignan, right on the border of Cabestany. And so getting to Leclerc up north, I have to take my one bus in and then walk over. Well, no, it actually would take off from Vauban. I just have to walk up to the different Vauban bus stop and then take that up to Languedoc. And that takes me up to the Leclerc Shopping Center. and then just kind of obviously the reverse back. It's just that the problem is that it does take a while to get up there from where I am. So, and the Intermarché here is a 10-minute walk from my house. So, that's convenient. And if it's super hot out, I can take a bus there, but they take so long to come back that it's like I don't, I'd have to spend quite a bit of time at Intermarché to catch the bus on the way back. So let's see. Maria, I love Bretagne and Normandy, but then I love the ocean. Yeah, those look like beautiful areas. Well, I mean, France is full of beautiful areas. And frankly, I don't really mind like it's being cloudy or rainy or a little snowy, things like that, because I'm not really going anywhere. So it's not like I'm going to work in it. I don't have to commute in it, So I did, I ended up in the south of France just kind of by a fluke. It wasn't by like, oh my God, I want to live in the south of France. This is where I want to go. And, I've always had visions of living here. I'm not a beach person. I just have such a concern about skin cancer and things of that sort that I really, I use the SPF and all that sort of thing. And I really avoid the sun as much as I can. I end up taking any shaded route I can when walking around. So let's see, Gerard, my 2 cents. As a content creator, you might want to shoot for talent visa, providing you have standing. Well, I appreciate that, but I don't know how much talent I have, but I do appreciate the comment. We'll see. I mean, right now it's just going to be I'm just targeting doing essentially like a sole proprietorship, because I don't really anticipate making much off of this. It's not, essentially right now, what I'm making off of AdSense pays for a couple of lunches, type thing. So it's not like this is, covering any bills or anything like that. So let's see, Conan the Barbarian. Do you cook your own food or eat out every day? It depends. I usually have breakfast here, and Richard, my friend that lives here, he loves to cook, so he usually cooks dinner. But for lunch, I usually go out just because I want to get away from the house. I don't want to be stuck in here all day type thing. So I get out now because I want to get steps in and do all that. So I usually try to get out and I might run a couple of errands while I'm out and about. So, but that's what I do for that. So I think I've caught up. Jean-Marc, Jeff, I only have 15 subscribers. Jean-Marc, I appreciate that, but I just, I guess I'll have to check your channel out. I didn't realize I've gone to people's channels when they make comments and all that, but usually they don't have any subscribers, and it sounds like they just, get on to talk to people and things of that sort. So I'll get onto your channel and see if I might become your 16th subscriber. But what's happened to my channel has been a complete fluke to me. And I just didn't expect it to happen this way. I really thought it was going to take 6 to 12 months just to hit monetization. So I didn't push doing the visa, the visa switch over. I'm in the process of doing it, but I didn't be like, just, okay, I got to hit this. I got to do this. And, but anyway, so I just really thought that I had time to push things out. But, as it turns out, it's not like I'm getting, tons of sponsorships or anything like that. And the AdSense certainly hasn't been adding up to very much. So, while I have all that and I am monetized, it really hasn't been that much. And I know maybe 15 videos. So I just need to get more videos up, and maybe that will start generating more revenue. But right now it's just kind of plodding along. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it. I'm glad, and I'm very glad that y'all show up, to like these lives. That it's just remarkable to me. I really thought that I'd have, if I had 2 or 3 people, that would be, kind of a win. And to have, I don't know if this is a current number, but like 110. Oh, and if you have an opportunity to hit the like button, that would be greatly appreciated as well. But to have this many people online to chat with is just, completely mind-blowing to me. Just completely mind-blowing to me that, let's see, are you using a translator to help with your professional liberal visa application? If you get that, will you still be able to renew if you don't generate any income from the business? Well, it looks like Greg asked the question if I'm using a translator to help with the professional liberal visa application. I do have, there's a French translation company that I have been using for things. And so I will have them look at the business plan when that's done. But, I don't know that it really matters for mine just because I don't rely on the income. So primarily what they want to make with these professional liberal visas and like the entrepreneurship and all that is you don't become a ward of the state. And so as long as they don't raise the limit of what they expect you to make as a minimum monthly income for here, as long as they don't just raise it up to some crazy number. Right now I'm okay just with my pension income. So it's that could certainly change over time. We'll see what happens with all the things that are going on right now. Everything's out in the open, but right now it's not something that you want to have income. I mean, have some sort of income, but my projections for income would be pretty small if I was just relying on the YouTube thing. So John Mark, my channel is a little, I gotcha. Let's see, Mike Abbott, how good, bad is Occitanie for someone with seasonal allergies? Pollen is our kryptonite. I tell you, it's bad in the spring here. The London plane trees that are beautiful trees, and they're huge trees that are here. They drop off a lot of stuff, and when the winds pick up, it's blowing all over you type thing. So I will say I take an allergy pill during the spring, and I pretty much do it every day. It's kept it at bay for me. I mean, I've never been one that's been super hit. In Austin, I would get hit with the cedar fever in the wintertime. But again, with, Mucinex and Dayquil and things like that, I was able to keep it under control. So let's see. You hit the sweet spot. Nobody. Sue, Texas to France. You're right. Something clicked where I just ended up getting it right. But that, I just very much thankful for it. Texas born, but in love with France. New haircut, nice. Did you find a barber? If so, was it difficult? Oh, well, thank you. I in Atlanta, I had a Russian lady that was cutting my hair. Her name was Anya, and super, super nice woman. And I just remember telling her one time, because when I had a beard, of course, now it comes in kind of all white. And I told her I got tired of being called Santa at Christmas time, at the holidays. So I asked her to see if we could dye it or do something. And it turned out to be a little bit more grayish than anything. And I told her, I said, well, maybe at some point, maybe I'll look to do something. But my hair at the time was kind of I always called it like salt and pepper. I used to be an auburn. When I was young, it was auburn colored. Then it went salt and pepper. And then she's like, now it's just salt. So, okay. But at least it's on my head. So I don't have any real complaints. But I did finally find a bar. There's lots of barbers here. So you have a lot of choices to go to. And of course, salons and things of that sort too. But I did find one that's really good. Mr. B's, downtown. Cities. I keep saying downtown, but it's city center in Perpignan. But a nice young fellow that runs it, and he does a really nice. I think he does a really nice job, and it's like 18 euros. So then that's including a shampoo. So no complaints. No complaints. Let's see. We support you just like we go over and watch the other people like Janice and friends. Oh, yeah, Jean-Marc. No, and I greatly appreciate that. And I know you do with Elder Gal, too, with Allison. She's great. I met her when she was here in Perpignan. And just super, super nice lady. Let's see here. It was time to walk. Oh, well, bonsoir, Sue. Thanks so much for joining in. Let's see. Also thinking making. Let's see. Iko, it might be interesting for Americans also thinking of making the move to France, how your food has changed. For example, certain dishes, less fast food than most Americans eat, trying pate and escargot. Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Yes, a lot of that has changed quite a bit for me. I'm down like 35 pounds, and it's primarily from changing diet. Well, try to get this what's in the camera. Changing diet and the walking type thing. I've got a ways to go. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's not like I'm some buff guy here, but the but in any case, yeah, it's definitely very much less fast food than what was there in the United States. And although they have it here, honestly, most of it's just awful. The KFC is awful. The Quick, which is kind of the McDonald's-ish, but they have McDonald's here and Burger King. I haven't had any of them here that I thought, because I tested them out, but none of them were anything that was like, oh my God, reminds me of home, or this is what I've got to get. No, so I don't really have any interest in eating at them. So which is nice, so that keeps me from doing that. As far as some of the other food, I'm not a foodie, so I do like some of the stuff. The French food tends to be a much higher quality and cleaner food than what was available in the United States. Now, of course, the United States has, there's spots that have good clean food and all that sort of thing, but tend to be very expensive. And here it's much more reasonably priced. And so I'll eat at like sandwiches from the boulangerie or something like that. I can't get past the mental thing with pâtés and escargot. They kind of creep me out. So it's kind of the same thing with haggis in Scotland. I don't know that I'll be able to try it without getting past that whole mental bit of what it is, sort of thing. So I tend not to like to eat organ meat, things like that. So, but that's that. So let's see here. So we've got that one. How big are the refrigerators here? Conan the Barbarian. How big are the refrigerators here? Small or American size? You can get both. The place I'm in right now is a rental. It came with a refrigerator, and but it's a smallish refrigerator, so it's probably more like a New York apartment size refrigerator, which works perfectly fine for me. I'm not I'm not one to keep a lot of food, and there's a lot of stuff here. Like milk and all that tends to stay. Now, maybe once you open it, you have to put it in the refrigerator, but a lot of things like eggs and all that you can keep out. So it's, so we have stuff in the refrigerator, but it's not like it's jammed because it's small, and people tend to also buy, because you're walking around with it and carrying, and carrying it with you type thing. People tend to go to the grocery store more frequently, pick up stuff and bring it back. So it's not, it's not like you're just jamming everything unless you're having a party or something like that. So let's see. Eliana, what bank are you using to get your pension? How do you avoid paying high bank fees and the exchange rate? Oh, the exchange rate's been awful. That, yes, thanks to the current administration, things had been going really well with the exchange. It was getting close to parity. So it was almost like $1 to €1. Several months ago. Now, like she's pointing out, it's 85 cents to 85 euro cents to $1 now type thing. So it's dropped probably. I think at best it was maybe around 98 euro cents, maybe 97 euro cents. So yeah, I all my stuff's deposited to my U.S. account, and then I use Western Union to transfer the money to my French bank account when I need some money to pay rent or pay bills here type thing. So yeah, and right now I keep dragging out doing any sort of conversions because I'm hoping that at some point the US dollar strengthens a little bit. But that certainly has not happened recently. So we just kind of go with what it is. So let's see. I never had allergies before until I was hit by those plane trees in Perpignan. Oh yeah, Susan, I tell you, those things, and especially when the wind picks up, I mean, that stuff's just blowing right in your face. And she's a challenge. Let's see. Deborah asks, how long did it take for you to move once you decided on France? Let's see. Probably 3 or 4 months, I think it was, roughly. It was more just because the videos at the time that I was watching on I kind of make sure I try to keep my head up. It always looks like I'm tilting my head down. The videos I was watching on YouTube for learning what to do with the visas and what do you do go about doing for France. And of course, I've done all that. Like I said before in the last one, I've done all kinds of major moves around the United States. So I'm certainly accustomed to getting rid of things and how much stuff you really need to take with you and all that. And of course, coming to France, I knew it was going to be more like complete purge of appliances. I mean, honestly, this laptop is the only thing that, well, that's probably not true. That my phone is also originally from the U.S., but like the laptop, this might be the only device I have that was with the American plug on it, because I knew everything else wasn't really going to work well here. So, and I just got a hold of family, friends, friends of friends, whatever, neighbors, acquaintances, whatever, and a lot of donations. Because I really tried not to just throw things away. I mean, if they were going to be usable, I wanted them to be used for some purpose, even if it was, pennies on the dollar. Or I gave away quite a bit of things. Excuse me. Like I had a lot of pet supplies that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to bring, so I gave them to a no-kill shelter that was nearby the house, and they really appreciated them. So like towels and all that type of stuff, I gave to them, so I knew that they could use them. And so it was that was probably the one that was the bit of it that took the longest to do. The visa itself, I mean, once you fill out the application online, which is not hard to do, it's a little tedious, and of course, you can get yourself kind of worked up by it because it's something new, and what happens if someone mess this up, or things like that, and kind of all kinds of things go on in your head, but it really wasn't hard to do, and especially for the long stay visitor visa. And I ended up doing that. Richard and I both submitted our applications, I think, either the same day or within a couple of days of each other. You make the appointment. I lived in Atlanta, so I could go to the Atlanta office at the time, and I think I had the appointment like the next week. And once they took my passport and submitted it into the French embassy in Washington, D.C., I got my passport back in a week. And so, I think at that point was probably, because you can't do it until you're like within 90 days of you coming here for the application and all that. So once that was done, I think it was like 2 months. And that was kind of a long time because I'd already gotten rid of my car, sold off all the stuff, I didn't really sell anything. It was just really donating or giving away, or whatever. People come pick stuff up. Lots of furniture, lots of just stuff, and and packed up the other stuff and put it in storage. And so all I had were boxes, and and maybe 20 or 30 boxes of stuff, and so that's all I had to actually bring over here. And but I know a lot of people have done a lot less than that sort of thing. But considering at one point I had like a 4,000 square foot house, and so I had a lot of stuff, and so getting it down to just be boxes was pretty remarkable for me. So in any case, that I don't even know if that answered your question, but I think it was like 3 or 4 months. It didn't take very long. I really thought that the process of getting the visa was going to take a lot longer than it did, and it turned out it didn't. So let's see here. What banks? So we did that one. The allergies, did that. How long did it take? How weak is the dollar? How is the weak dollar affecting you? I don't really spend that much money, so obviously it affects my rent costs. So I mean, my rent stays the same every month. It's the 1,400 euros, but and I think next year they're going to drop it to 1,200. But in any case, so that's always constant. It's just the value of it goes up because the dollar weakens. So that but going out to eat and all that, I don't really spend that much money, so it's not something super significant with it. Let me see if she's got Freya. Okay, we have food. I guess maybe she doesn't care, but in any case, so yeah, there's definitely an effect to it, but it's not like I'm spending money all the time, so it's not hugely impactful to me, other than it kind of erodes the value of what you're buying on. With 2 grants, you can keep comfortably your head above water for a couple slightly more. With 2 grants, you can keep comfortably your head above water for a slightly. Oh. Well, Jared, I don't know what that really means, but okay. Cromwell 20, bonjour. Let's see, Lydia. Hi, Jeff. Just saw you sharing online. Near the border with Switzerland. I think I would find Perpignan too hot. I visited Coulier once, pretty place. Yeah, Coulier is beautiful, beautiful town. An absolute madhouse during the summer. There's no way I'd want to live there. It's just, that's got to be a complete zoo to try to get in and out of with all the tourists that go through there. So if you have a shop, it's probably great, but just living there, I think that'd just be awful with all that traffic that comes through. Yeah, Perpignan. I honestly don't. I don't know why suddenly I've got these burps, so I apologize about that. I know people go on, because I've been in contact with some of the YouTubers that live further north, and they said that they didn't really contemplate going to the south of France because it was so hot. And I get that, I get that it's going to be warmer here type thing. And maybe this year is just so much of an anomaly. But I mean, all of France seems to be hot this year, except for maybe the very, very, very far north regions that are like on the Channel and all that. But Perpignan can be warm. I mean, it was warm last year, but I survived it. And maybe it's just because I've lived in hot climates before, so it's not new to me. But I don't find it oppressively hot. But it certainly is warm. Now the last couple of weeks have been super hot. I mean, there's no getting around that. It's been very hot here, but under normal circumstances, I don't mind. And the winter wasn't like it was particularly warm to me either. And I know some locals were complaining that it was a cooler winter than what they normally expect as well. So, in any case, John Mark, since changing my diet, eating new food, my stomach is still adapting. Burger King France spiced me out. 2 days to recover. Oh wow, really? Okay. Burger King didn't sit for you. I just haven't. I mean, like I said, I tried McDonald's. It seemed very expensive, but I didn't find anything that was like, oh my God, this is just like home, sort of thing. So there's no nostalgia attached to it for me. And now if they had Whataburger with jalapeno cheddar biscuits, okay. You might have had me there, type thing. But so far, hasn't been an issue. But cheese is my kryptonite. I do love cheese. Let's see, Jean-Marc. I love a good rabbit steak. That's another one of those things that I really haven't tried. So I can't say I don't like it. It's just one of those things, more of a, I don't know that I really want to try it. It's, never know. Maybe I would like it. Let's see, Gerard. Corn syrup is a big no-no for your diet. Oops. U.S. every packaged food. That's the difference. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. That and I do like here that a lot of the food. Well, I shouldn't say certainly not everything, but a lot of the food has indicators on it, like A through. I don't know why I can't seem to get it right. Like A through F, and so you can kind of at least glance at it and say, is this horrible or is this decent, type thing to eat? And that's nice, because at least then you can make somewhat of an educated decision as to, do I want those chips or do I want these, maybe healthier option or whatever it is. So let's see. Greg asks, when you relocated, did you book a 3-month Airbnb to qualify for the visa? What address did you use to validate your visa? And did you get your OFII notice via email or mail? Okay, Greg. So when I relocated, I actually got a 12-month lease through Valerie because I thought that's what I needed to get. At least when I was looking at some of the YouTube gurus at the time, were saying that you needed to have a long-term lease lined up. Well, come to find out that wasn't the truth. You could get and there were some of them that were saying you couldn't do an Airbnb or a hotel or something like that. And it just wasn't accurate, So Now they may have been meaning that you couldn't have it for like when you're trying to do your visa activation and doing these other things and maybe that's what they meant, but that's not how it came across. And so I ended up getting a 12-month lease, and but I knew that there were, the tenancy laws here are very, very much geared toward the tenants. And so it wasn't, I knew that I'd be able to get out of the lease if it turned out to be a place that I just absolutely couldn't stand, and all that sort of thing. The deterrent here for doing that is that typically you pay the estate agent a fee for helping you find another place. Now, if you find it on your own and all that, the fees might be less, or there may not be no fees if you're dealing directly with the landlord. But that's pretty rare for kind of somebody coming in as an immigrant, especially with a pension income. That it's if I had a French job with a French income, there'd be all kinds of places I could choose from and all that. Coming in as new arrival and no income, it's a hard sell. So that's the hardest part to me of doing the move, is getting the arrangement. So when I was able to get a 1-year lease, it was like, okay, I'm good. That can hand me for a while. I can deal with it for a while, and get through it type thing. If I had an Airbnb, which I had friends come over here and do an Airbnb in Nice, and that worked out for them, but they ended up maybe on like the 70th or 80th day finding a place. So it wasn't like it was quick that they were able to, because they were in kind of the same boat where they were doing the long stay visitor visa. And so you can't have income here. And, it's just a harder sell to landlords, and which I get, just it is what it is. So, but in any case, so what address did I use to validate? So I used the address of the apartment that I was in. And so I got my OFII notice. How did they do it? Because France still loves snail mail. The admin people still love snail mail here. So it is very common that you need to have an address and you need to be at that address for a while. And I'm pretty sure I got a mail, but then it was followed by, I think, an email that came in from the OFII office to tell me my date and time of my appointment. So there's no scheduling it. It's like, here's your date, here's your time, this is when you're coming in type thing. Now, if you can't make it for some reason, like you have a doctor's appointment or a surgery or something like that, you can call them and reschedule it. But otherwise, you just go by that date and time. Let's see. Fridges are like French roads, very narrow, Gerard. Yes, you're right. You're right. It's a tiny refrigerator, but it's certainly workable. So the one thing I do miss, ice makers. You get trays and go back, but I mean, it's like, that's from the 70s, but you do about it. But the escargot, my husband's French and hadn't eaten them because he thought they were disgusting until last month when a French chef he loved them. Okay. Oh, didn't like the escargot either. I just saw a video of people eating escargot in Lyon at the Le Hall, Paul Barracousse or something like that, and I don't know. To me, it's purely a mental thing. It's I don't want to dig for it and then like pull it out of the shell. And I'm not really big and garlicky. I mean, I'll eat it, but I'll eat garlic, but it's not like, oh my God, super garlicky and all this, So I don't know. The other thing is I don't need to eat them, but if someone sent them to me, I'd probably give them at least a try. But let's see, Gail, bonjour. Thanks for all your earnestness. Who did you use for your visa? Would you recommend an approximate cost? Oh, I used me. That I didn't use a service for getting the visa. I used FAB insurance for the healthcare coverage that I needed, and I have that information usually in the description of the videos that I have. Super nice people. It might be more expensive than other insurance coverages, but they guaranteed that it would work for your visa, type thing. And Fabian, who owns the business, and that they're here in France, obviously, but and he's French, but speaks great English, and so it was very easy to communicate with him. And they have somebody that was an American expat as well. Well, I mean, she's lived in France now for 20 some years, so probably a French citizen by now. But anyway, she was very helpful on options for what was available, and like helped me with my mutuelle once I got my carte vitale and all that. But for doing the visa, I didn't hire anybody because mine. For the long stay visitor visa, it's pretty straightforward. As long as you can show either some pension, if you're doing that, pension income or assets or a combination of the two, it's really not that hard to get. As long as you don't have a bad record or whatever else type thing, it's really not hard to do. It's tedious to do, but it's not a hard process to go through. So I didn't use anybody. Um, Let's see. Do you know if the air quality and temperature is better in these? Deborah, I don't know. I would imagine they have similar setup. So I don't know. The air quality here doesn't seem to be bad. But again, I don't have asthma issues and all that sort of thing. So I can't really speak to it other than there definitely are allergens here. But I imagine they're all over France. I just can't imagine there's some place that is, I think when I lived in Seattle, it was probably the only place I'd lived in the U.S. because you get the breezes off the Pacific. So I don't think there were any allergens coming in off of that. So I'm sure they had some allergens that would blow in every once in a while, but for the most part, that was pretty clean air. So let's see. Guto, hi Jeff, hope you're great. Thanks for all the info. Oh, well, thank you, Guto. I appreciate that. Like I said, I don't want to like sugarcoat anything. I mean, I enjoy living here. I've been having a very good time. I'm going to continue to live here. And I'm going to make this work. It's just that there are, there's a lot of admin. So the first year, even though it went by fairly quick to me, and that also might be an age thing, but it did seem like it was a lot of, and I'm still not even done, but it did seem like a lot of admin bits. So, but it's been good. It's been good so far. Let's see, Dana, Whataburger's the best. When they opened up, not this has anything to do with what I was supposed to talk about in this video, but when they opened up In-N-Out in Austin, you would have thought it was just the thing that hit, like, and I mean, the lines were crazy with, drive through and all that sort of thing. And I went into that one time and, there's like this kid standing there and like, what can I get you? And I'm like, well, a menu. I don't know what y'all have, type thing. And hand me the menu. It was like burgers, fries, and shakes, type thing. But I guess they have some sort of secret menu and all that. And I'm like, and I had it, so I ate it, and it's like, and it wasn't bad. I mean, I'm not certainly going to diss anything with In-N-Out, but I didn't get the whole thing. But again, I didn't grow up with it, so it just wasn't my thing. So, but Whataburger, those jalapeno cheddar biscuits. Now, sometimes they can be bad. They can be bad, but if you get somebody that does them right, they're just awesome. Let's see. Pet rabbits, good for you. Let's see. Gemma, we were in Collier last August and took a side trip to Perpignan and had coffee by the canal. I'm moving to France in 3 weeks. Oh, cheers from Seattle. Well, good luck with all that, Gemma. Hopefully that all goes very smoothly for you. Let's see. What's good to have a freshman farm? Oh, no. Oh, yuck. All right. Let's see. Linda, in Victoria times, people didn't visit the south of France from England in the summer because it was too hot, and they did travel there in the winter because it was mild. It's the same thing in the U.S. I'm originally from Oklahoma, but I've lived around the country. Lived around the country for years, and I spent most of my young life up through college in Western Illinois, Northwestern Illinois, Quad City area. And my folks lived there for 30 some years, whatever it was. But I tell you, anytime, so eventually moved back south. So, it got to the point where I was living in Chicago for a number of years, couldn't stand the winters any longer. The summers were oppressively hot. Told my folks, it's like, we can move back south and it's better in the winter and all that sort of thing. So finally got all that worked out. That took a couple of years of searching and got into LaGrange, Georgia, which is on the border of Alabama. And, but like my brother would come down to visit and some other people would come down to visit in the summertime and just thought it was so oppressive. But again, it's kind of like living in Florida, that, if people from the north would come down to Florida in the summertime, their bodies weren't, your physiologically, your blood's thicker, because you're used to the winter weather and all that sort of the colder weather. And so it just felt hotter and more humid and all that sort of thing. And so where I was fairly comfortable with it, people from the north would come visit. It's like, oh, how can you live here? This is awful. This is awful. But if I went back in the wintertime, I'd freeze my ass off up there type thing. And they're all just like walking around in coats, and I'm like, oh my God, this is freezing. I can't believe what anybody live in this. And so it's just a matter of what, eventually you get used to it. But definitely, I'm sure in the Victorian times, nobody had any concept of like, it would have been very hot for people to come in here. Let's see, Jean-Marc, my OFII was in the post in month 5, and it's for a medical and small interview. Oh, I'm sorry if I missed somebody asking about the OFII. Yeah, it turns out that, they make it sound like it's some huge thing and like, you got to be worried about it and all that sort of thing. It makes it sound very official and all that, which it is. You have to go through it type thing. It's an integration sort of meeting. But honestly, it takes, mine went maybe 10 minutes, something like that, just grabbing your information, confirming where you live, all that sort of thing. And they were primarily just asking me and by then I'd already been to a GP and, connected with doctors, get my prescriptions and all that sort of thing. So, but they wanted to make sure that you're connected within the healthcare system, even though you don't have a carte vitale yet, all that. They want to make sure that you're able to connect with people to make things happen. Oh, we have a little visitor. Hey, Miss Freya. You say hello to everybody? She's not one to like to be picked up, so we'll leave that alone. But in any case, so yeah, the OFII meeting just turned out to be 10 to 15 minutes of just a few questions, and you get some documents and you're on your way. They don't do, if you're coming from the U.S., they don't do a chest X-ray. They do state on there that you'll be going up to do like a chest X-ray and all that sort of thing, but they got rid of that if you're coming from the U.S. because they're just checking for tuberculosis, and they just assume that nobody has that from the U.S. Although with the way things are changing there, they may change their policy again because of what they have now for people in charge of the health system. So let's see. I just want to make sure. A YTuber recently said she paid 6,000 or euros to one of those companies for a simple visa. I go, yeah, I don't. And I know they're out there, and I know people will be happy to charge you for helping you with doing your visas and that. But honestly, if you're doing a long stay visitor visa, you just do it online, and they tell you what documentation you need. It's not now if you have something much more complicated, like maybe you're married and divorced 2 or 3 times, or you had a name change somewhere on the line, or you did some other things. It's just that'll kind of complicate it because they want to see all the paperwork for that type thing, which you should have, but but other than that, it's really not hard to do. So I really feel sorry for people that spend that much money on doing that, because it's just not necessary. The paperwork's not that complicated. Let's see. I'm just trying to go through here and make sure I'm not missing somebody. I wanted to talk about that, but it looks like we're already up on time. My renewal appointment, let's see, Susan, I was shocked. My renewal appointment is end of September here. Oh, yeah. Faster now. Oh, good for you, Susan. I'm glad they made it quicker for you. That's awesome. I know you were talking about that was going to take quite a while to get that. Oh, Sparky Girl, they're just like mushrooms. Yeah, I'm not a fan of mushrooms. And for mushrooms, it's really that's more of texture. It's like eating dirt to me. I just don't like it. Jim, hello from Narbonne. Hello, bonsoir. There's another channel called Roaming Retirement, run by a couple who moved recently. Yes. Yeah, there's all kinds of channels that seem to be popping up with that, which is great. You can eat it. Yeah. Jeff, have you tried the electric scooters yet? No, I did try. Linda's asking if I've tried the electric scooters yet. No, I did do a bike, electric bike type thing, and that was okay. I don't know that would be something I'd want to keep trying. One of these days, I'll try the scooters. Now that I have the Pony app, it should be easy enough to try to connect with that. Beth, I watch Elder Gal. I heard about you from her. I'll check yours out. Oh, thank you, Beth. Yeah, no, Allison at Elder Gal is awesome. But beware of cypress pollen in southern France. Okay, I'll try to. But let's see. Hi, Jeff in chat. Sorry that I'm late. Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth. Eric, due to lack of breeze and knees, currently. Oh, I'm glad everybody's kind of answering questions in here. That's awesome. Elizabeth, believe me, I'm very happy to be out of the U.S. right now. Just not pretty. I wish it wasn't going through all that. I'm a much younger person on the visa, so it's strange being with older people applying for the same visa. Oh, yeah, Jean-Marc. Yep. Oh, thank you, everybody. Yeah, click the like button, please. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Lisa, for the reminder. Elizabeth asked if I visited Lyon, France. No, I have not been to Lyon yet. Actually, I'll be going there the end of this month. So I'm going to check it out then and get some video of it too. So I'll get that up on the channel. Winters in Chicago are freezing worse than New York City, Elizabeth. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. I honestly don't know why 8 million people live there, but it just I mean, the city's great. Love the city of Chicago. Hate the weather. Let's see. I keep thinking I'm scrolling down too far. Let's see. There's a big allergy for some. Winter in Chicago. Saf asked you to declare your income in France. The UK has an agreement that, yeah, you do. You have to declare your income, but they don't. France doesn't tax U.S. pensions. So, so far, but again, there are different pension types. There are different, different types of things that people have, IRAs or whatever type thing. So mine is not any sort of financial advice, so you definitely want to get with your tax, tax person to find out what all needs to be done. But with my pension type, it's not taxed. So I lived in Montpellier from 69 to 71. Oh, hey, Bob, thanks so much. How much did it cost to using Valerie? Sparky Girls ask, how much did it cost using Valerie? It's, it just depends on what you end up with. I think it's all based off of what the rent value is. So, and I don't know what her percentage is of it type thing. So some people charge 100% of the month's rent. Other people charge less. She charges less. So I don't know. I'm not going to speak to what she charges, but it's probably, it's less. It's less than, well, at least it used to be less than 100%. So, but anyway, it's generally speaking here, and it's not something that's a fixed cost. So it just depends on the person and the agency that they're with. But you can kind of expect that if you're going to get an apartment rental, it's going to be roughly 1 month's rent. If it's less, then you won. Let's see. I kind of live in New York City, but I'm more concerned about my allergies. Yeah, allergies here are not so great. Let's see. I had to go to the hospital for an X-ray in my region. Oh, you did, Jean-Marc. You did have to go for an X-ray. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they just told me that because I'm from the U.S. that they weren't asking about it. So I don't know. If you're from the US, they will do the X-ray for your OFII appointment and an eye test and vaccination. No, Jean-Marc, I didn't actually encounter that. There was no eye test, and they checked my vaccinations, but I had my vaccination card from the US. So um, I didn't have to go through the X-ray and all that for mine at Montpellier. So, and I don't know that I would have been anybody special, So I know my friend here, Richard, didn't have to go through it, and the friends of mine that are from the U.S. here that I've met didn't have to go through it either. So maybe it's just regional. Maybe in Bordeaux and all that, maybe they do require more of it. Let's see. Well, thank you, Lydia. Yeah, Lydia said that I read you were considering Lyon as a possible future place to live. Personally, I would not recommend it. Big city worth visiting. I am going to be visiting at the end of the month. It's not like I'm looking forward to some big city that and all that. I'm just looking for, like I said, Dijon might work too, because I know that they have a tram system. I just need something that has a better, more, well, not better, but more transit options that run later, so that I know that if I live on the outskirts just to save money, that I can still connect with people who live more in the city center. Oh, thank you, Dana. Yes, please please click the like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Kim asked, "What about mosquitoes in Perpignan?" I honestly, I don't think they've been that bad. They do have a lot of mosquito repellents, so um, but I can't say that they've been all that bad here. And even without screens, I really haven't. And again, I've lived I've lived around the United States, but when I lived in the South, there are a lot of bugs type thing. So you had to have screens, and even with screens, you got a lot of bugs in the house. Here, even without the screens, every once in a while, I get a fly in, and I'm sure we get a mosquito in every once in a while, but it really has not been that bad. So, but that's been my experience. People might have other, certainly other things to say about it. Oh, yeah, I think it's Julie, the Rasa Alchemy, had mentioned that didn't have to go through the X-rays, but they offered a tetanus shot because theirs was over 10 years old. I think they did talk to me about the tetanus shot. Mine wasn't over 10 years old, so, but they did talk to me about that tetanus shot as well. Um, let's see. Deborah's asking, "What is your French level, and did you have any issues with the language?" My level is probably an A1 ish level. I had 7 years of French in high school and in college, but of course that was 40-ish years ago, type thing. Um, so it's obviously old, but I can get around. I can certainly read it better than I can speak it. But I've been able to get around with, even with the medical folks. I can get an understanding of what's going on. You can kind of point to what's the matter, sort of thing. And some people speak a little bit of English here, but this region definitely is not a high English speaking region. So if you have a phobia of learning French and all that, this may not be the area to come to just for that. So, but I will say everybody's been super kind about working with me on my French. Let's see. Car I sold mine a year ago and considering a Vespa for short trips only. Yeah, Susan, that's yeah. We talked about this when you were here. I really, you know, I would be more likely to get some sort of a moped, just because I know that I can go to like some of the villages and things like that out there. Let's see, Greg. Oh, she was asking somebody else. Linda, yeah, X is looks like it's a beautiful area too. I'll get a chance to get over there and visit those places at some point. But yeah, definitely it's likely out of my price point. So let's see, Elizabeth, where in France is the weather the most like North Carolina? Um, I really can't answer that. It's probably going to be something that's going to be more northern. It makes sense to be more northerly. I don't know, maybe north of the Loire Valley might be similar to North Carolina. It also depends on where in North Carolina you are. If you're on the coast, it might be different, but I would imagine somewhere in Britannia, or like in Brittany or Normandy, those areas are probably very, very similar to it. Let's see, Jeremiah. One reason I'm wanting to move to France is they have much better health care. I'm on SSDI, so how would that work? Well, I don't know. I'm not on social. I'm not on the SSDI, so you can't apply for the carte vitale until you've been here for at least 90 days. So on the 90th day, I definitely would be applying for that carte vitale, and it took 2 or 3 months for me to get it. So there's a process you go through, but it's not a hard process. But the healthcare here is so reasonably priced that even when I was not on the carte vitale, and of course you would have to have paid for a private healthcare insurance as well. So that's going to be a chunk of change that comes out, and they vary depending on how old you are, things of that sort. So I opted for one that was a no medical, because I had cancer. Well, I still have cancer, but it's in remission. But so I wanted to make sure I didn't do the medical exam, and so my insurance was higher than what other people might have been charged for it, but still less than what I was paying for with the Affordable Care Act in the U.S. And granted, here it probably was really just for emergency situations. So if I had a heart attack or a stroke or something like that, it would cover that. But just going to the doctor, it's like 30 euros for the doctor's visit. Specialists, I think, were like 45 euros. So it's really not bad. And I went to a cardiologist, had an EKG, an ECG. She did a Doppler of my carotids, and she did it. So the cardiologist did it, talked to me about the results, met up with these things. It was 144 euros. So, I couldn't complain about that at all for that. So, but from coming from disability, I can't speak to that. So I'm assuming that, as you can make it through the 90 days and get started on the carte vitale, once you get the carte vitale, you're basically covered. And you have to get a mutuelle. The carte vitale, I think, covers 70% of your kind of normal expenses. The mutuelle will cover the other 30% typically. So right now, like, I don't pay for my medications. I still pay for the mutuelle. But that price is based off of your age. So the younger you are, the less expensive it is, but the price does go up a little bit every year. And I can report on what mine does next year. But right now I'm at 64 euros, I think, a month for that. So, which I'm perfectly fine with. That's certainly less than what I was paying in the US. Let's see. Elizabeth, I would think the mosquitoes would be very prevalent in the Camargue marshes in the south of France, and they probably are. I don't live in the Camargue marshes, so I don't have to deal with them. Let's see. Let's see. Sunny Flowers is asking, did you move alone or with a partner? Well, I moved with a friend. He's not a partner, but I did move with a friend. So I shouldn't say didn't move with a friend, but he came over at the same time. So, and we share a house, and so we share the expenses of that. So, we split the rent, utilities, all that type of stuff. So, and it's nice that, we each have our own space. So I I have a bedroom, a bathroom, I have this room, he pretty much takes the lower, we have a garage, back deck, all that sort of thing. So it's nice that we can kind of live separately, but in the same house. So that's nice. Let's see. I've been in the Loire Valley in January. It's cold. My mother-in-law made us eat outdoors in the snow. I go, wow, that's pretty tough. No, I wouldn't eat outside in the snow. That's for certain. Let's see, Greg, were your OFII interview and medical exams conducted in English or French? Did you bring an interpreter, or was it your own French conducted? Oh, the OFII was totally in English. They kind of separate you out. So when it's your appointment, now you don't. The thing is, just like with your appointment with the visa appointment in the U.S., once you've submitted your application, you make the appointment with the company that's taking in the paperwork and all that, and we'll send everything off to the embassy in Washington, D.C. There's no sense getting there early type thing. They won't let you into the office until within like 10 or 15 minutes of the appointment. So, if you're somebody like me that likes to get places like an hour early, you're just going to be killing time somewhere outside. Similar with the OFII appointment, it was like within 10 or 15 minutes. So there's no, and the door's locked. So they're not letting anybody in. But once you get in and they start the appointment process, they kind of segment you out because there's going to be a lot of people in there. But then they segment you out. Essentially, it looked like by either continent or language type thing. So there was several of us that were English speakers, and so we were kind of coordinated off to some special area, and then the other people were off to their special area, and everybody was dealt with accordingly type thing. And then we were just like one at a time. You go into the doctor's office, and it's a doctor that's there, and I think an assistant that takes notes, and they just go over all the stuff. But it was totally in English. There was no French needed for it. But let's see, Jeff, would you consider moving to the Champagne area? Janet asked if I would consider moving to the Champagne area. I don't drink, so it doesn't really matter to me much about the area. I'm more into, not that you were saying that, but I'm just saying that for me, it's really more about having access to city center if I'm not living in city center, because I want to save money on rent or whatever type thing. So, I just need to have good public transportation, and preferably trams, something like that, just because the bus systems tend to not run real late, except maybe in major cities, but they tend not to in the smaller cities. So but I'm not against the Champagne area. It's just that I'd have to explore more of what the city options are and what's there. Let's see, call for a consultation with Fabian at Fab Insurance. They can talk you through the process. Absolutely. Yeah, and I have contact information for them in my videos. So they're super, super nice people. And again, all in English. Let's see. Just trying to make sure. I know that we've overrun the time, so I need to disconnect so that we're not dragging people onto. Let's see. JC, travel question. Which airline did you use for traveling? When I was in the US, my choice was always Delta. I had Delta Sky Miles. So unfortunately, you can't fly them with business class because there's no space underneath the seat to put the kennel. So I ended up flying economy over to Barcelona, but I flew Delta, and they were very easy to work with on the thing. But the only thing it was 9 hours of being economy, and that's not great for me, but it worked totally fine. So hopefully your doctor will be just fine too. Let's see. Yes, I hope your husband's surgery goes well. Hey, Janet. Let's see. 2 of us from New York just met in your chat from Perpignan, and we live in a few months. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Hey, Jean-Marc. I love my car and party until 2 a.m. It's a house party every night. Wow. Good for you, mate. Those are days gone by for me. Bordeaux and Rouen. Yeah, and Saf points out that Bordeaux and Rouen might be good, probably suit for me, as they have good transport systems. They probably would, and I'm certainly not ruling it out. It's just I like the idea of being a little bit more on the eastern side of France, just for connectivity. Although, it's only an extra 3 hours by TGV, but just to kind of zip around to other places in Europe. Grenoble too. I don't know. I'd have to check to see what the winters were like there. That seems like that's getting very close to the Alps, but I could be wrong. So, oh, Elizabeth, that's very cool. I'm glad you husband. That's very cool. He's classically trained pianist and composer. My grandmother was a pianist, and my aunt is as well. My grandmother's passed, but as far as I know, my aunt's still alive. But no, I just love piano. Love piano. Check out Pigeonhouse for me, please. That town looks gorgeous. It sounds good. I've never been there, but I certainly heard a lot about it. But I'll see if I can try that out. So Grenoble is harsh unless you love snow. Yeah, I'm not big on snow, so I don't mind a little bit of snow type thing, but I don't know that I'm going to be in it. So, well, I think that's going to do it for the video. I appreciate you all checking in on this, and I'm sorry that it turned out it wasn't anything about my prior life, but I'm glad we had a bunch of questions, and hopefully this was helpful for folks. And we'll just get together next Sunday and try this out again, and we'll just do it. If we don't have a lot of questions, then I'll just go into my background, and we'll just kind of go from there. So anyway, hope everybody has a great week, and thanks again so much for joining in. And bonsoir. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.